And now, ladies and gentlemen, the So Bros Network proudly brings to you some in-depth movie discussion with our resident film critic, Brandon Vick.
Happy evening, everyone. The Vick's Flicks podcast is here.
Hello. Welcome to a bonus episode of the Vick's Flicks podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Vick. Some people call me the Beast from the Southeast. And I am let me think about this. I'm a member of the Southeastern Film Critics Association and a board member of the Music City Film Critics Association, as well as the resident film critic for a good old Nashville Movie Dispatch. Again, you can read and listen everything movies on nashvillemoviedispatch.substack.com. I actually was going to write about this movie called Sketch that stars Tony Hale, as you may know him from probably a lot of stuff, but he was a standout in Veep, the HBO series with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and of course he's the voice of Forky. Don't forget that. And Darcy Carden, who was in The Good Place. But I came to find out that this movie has huge, well, I had a really good word for it, but now I forgot it because I wanted to make sure I said huge in a ridiculous way. But its whole entire background is Nashville. The guy who wrote it and directed it, the producer, where it was filmed, the people who worked on it. So I actually thought this would be a good one to actually podcast about. And I got to see this, I think 2.5, almost 3 weeks ago. Today is August 6th, so it is officially out in theaters. You can go see Sketch in theaters. But I got an invite to see it at the Belcourt back last month. And to my surprise, the producer was there, the director was there, Tony Hale was there, a couple of other people from the cast, locals that worked on the crew were there. So it was a really cool kind of, obviously Belcourt is a cool place to see any film, but it was cool to be in there. It was cool to have so many people that were involved in the film there as well. They had a little red carpet outside, and then the producer got up and was kind of talking about it a little bit. And what I found out was, one, that Tony Hale had been working on getting Sketch made since, I think they said 2018. Steve Taylor, he seemed to be kind of the main producer. He's actually an associate professor of cinematic arts at Lipscomb University. And Seth Worley, who is the writer-director, which, by the way, Sketch is his first feature film, he was also a professor there. And if you go, I think it's just called SethWorley.com, but apparently he has plenty of videos on just teaching on different aspects of filmmaking, as well as seems to have a well-established background in visual effects, and that absolutely shows in Sketch. So let's get to the part where, wait a minute, let me not do synopsis just yet, because Sketch, also I found out, Sketch took place over a span of 3 years. It was filmed entirely in and around Nashville, and apparently a number of students, which I know they said have already graduated, obviously, because it's been a 3-year process, but they, students and graduates of Lipscomb were all a part of the production team. And like I said, a lot of them were there in the audience with a few of us critics watching it. I believe a lot of them this was their first time seeing it. So that was cool. And I know some of you are probably listening to this now. This sketch was also a week, like last Monday. So not this past Monday, but the one before it, because Regal does these Movie Monday mystery movies. And anyway, Sketch ended up being that. So some people have already been able to enjoy it before its opening day today. So Sketch, let's get to what it's about. I love Rotten Tomatoes. Says, when a young girl's sketchbook falls into a strange pond, her drawings come to life, unpredictable, chaotic, and dangerously real. As the town unravels, she and her brother must track down the creatures before they leave permanent damage. Their father, who's played by Tony Hill, racing to find them through the fallout, must navigate a town in crisis to reunite his family and stop the disaster they never meant to unleash. So this is really, as kind of crazy as it sounds, this is, the heart of it is about a family that is dealing with grief. More so of the daughter that is sort of expressing herself in all of these drawings that she's doing. And as dark and as strange as they appear, I think it is essentially, it's quite revealing that the family losing their mother has obviously deeply affected everyone. But, and I think that we sort of know this, but you don't quite know how they do it as far as trying to deal with that loss and to try and manage the grief. And so the little girl, the daughter, it's all in these drawings. As far as the father and son, they have done they have done a nice job of basically trying to bury that. Right? Now, obviously it's for different reasons because, you know, between the wife and mother, that's very much of a different relationship. But the two males are essentially doing the same thing. But take that heaviness, put that to the side. Sketch is overall, it is quite creative and clever. It's very imaginative, and it's actually pretty funny. I laugh more than a few times, and it mostly comes from the kids, which we'll get to them here in just a little bit. But Sketch is really this kind of family adventure fantasy movie that happily embraces the weird and the peculiar, and the story really benefits from that. It is it's not afraid to place judgment on this girl and their drawings. And again, once they come to life, I mean, you know, it is sort of offbeat, especially, I mean, listen, it's about a magical pond, right? But the significance that pond plays within what the family has been going through, and the possibilities that it opens up as far as maybe having the family as a whole again, is very interesting. But it's also a sketch as a whole is also very playful. It is silly but sweet, though it does maintain its tricky tone that Seth Worley, again, writer, director, first feature film, that he brilliantly balances from scene to scene. There are fantastic visual effects. I mean, some of the best that you've seen, which I guess for a movie like this, it's, you know, not one of these summer blockbusters. I was really amazed with just how well these looked, and the stellar designs of the monsters, and it's all kind of very colorful, vibrant. It's got its energy really kind of sweeps you up almost from the beginning. And I mean, I guess because I didn't really know much about the movie, but it really took me by surprise. And again, all of this kind of, I'll say chaos again, but the with the monsters and everything else and all this coming, I mean, it really is healing, and it's by facing the grief that is sort of, it's manifesting, transforming into these real wacky monsters that have truly come to life. I read an interview, and this is on Maxon.net. That's MAXON.net. And one of the questions that is asked of to Seth Worley is, it's really cool that the monsters in the film are made up of the materials that they were drawn in. Could you take us through the Red Giant tools you used to create these material effects, which Red Giant, I guess, is a system that can be used for it to bring these creatures to life? And Worley says, in the film, the monsters are composed of whatever they were drawn with, which it makes them look really cool. So some are made of crayon wax and get melty when exposed to heat, while others are made of chalk, so they generate colored dust clouds in their wake, and so on. We wanted them to always have some level of material-related debris or atmosphere coming off of them, be it glitter, chalk powder, or crayon wax. Having those organic elements helped them feel tactile and real. One of the monsters, Dave, is covered in glitter, so when he roars, he spews glitter everywhere, and that's always a bit of it, and there's always a bit of it falling off of him as he moves. As a result, his appearance tends to be preceded by glitter falling in the air, which felt like a fun Spielbergian device to build anticipation. How that is actually put on screen and how that is executed as far as with what the monsters are made out of and staying true to how she drew them and what she used is something that you don't really think about. But as the movie goes on, you realize these little details that do make a huge difference. But it also, I think, is a credit to Seth for not just really half-assing it and having like these, crazy, weird creatures run around, but not have any sort of, not making them stand out, not making them specific to what was drawn and what kind of has come from the imagination, but also using it to making it way more fun and way more, way more visually terrific. They are really a sight to see. And again, the effects that are used, they're just so well done. I was kind of, I was sort of amazed by it. There is a bit, he talks about Spielbergian there, and there is a bit of Spielberg energy here. I mean, I think E.T. kind of instantly comes to mind. I mean, most of the movie is about three kids going in. There's the brother, sister, and then a boy that the girl does not like, and I think he inspires one of her drawings. So, but a lot of it comes from them, and I feel like, especially with E.T., it's kind of all kind of following them on this, wild adventure, and so yeah, there has to be some Spielberg inspiration in there, and it does come through. I will also say that there are some creepy moments. I don't know if anything's quite like scary, but I do think there are several instances where the movie is creepy enough for young viewers to kind of get a taste of the horror genre. Again, it's a family movie, But I will say, it could also be scary for adults because there was a woman behind me, and I'm pretty sure she was someone that worked on the film, that during a certain jump scare, she screamed her head off in that whole theater. So adults beware. You might get scared yourself. Tony Hale, I don't guess I've seen a lot of his stuff, but how the performances I have seen, he changes it up for this one, and he kind of reins it in a bit. But his portrayal is wonderful as a single father who is kind of submerged in pain, but trying to keep it together, holding it in, like I said, pushing it down, and trying to do the best that he can for his kids, and he doesn't want that to show. But at the same time, there are things where, the pictures of their mom aren't hanging up on the wall, and, he doesn't really say her name. And obviously, his children have noticed that, and it has, it has an effect on them. The kids are sensational in this. The chemistry between these three, but also just what they're able to do with their young talent is so impressive, to kind of be in this world that Seth has created and be able to be funny, but also touch on these emotional points, especially the siblings. Bianca Bell plays Amber, that's the daughter. Q Lawrence plays Jack, that's the brother. And then Kaylin Cox plays a kid named Bowman. These three, they also have got some of I think they are probably, Tony Hill has a few, but the kids bring most of the laughs, which as they should. Again, the main focus is on the kids, and I think that's really the only choice you make for a movie like Sketch. But they all did a fabulous job, and so I was really, like I said, I was really impressed by them, and obviously Tony Hale. And I will say, for fans of The Good Place, Darcy Carden, she plays his sister, Tony Hill's sister, and they're mostly together in the movie, and the kids are kind of off on doing their thing. But I like them together as well. They are they're both pretty funny in their own right, but together they got some. That's some good stuff. But there's also, I know there's one scene in particular that kind of gets to the heart of Tony Hill's character, the father's pain and regret and grief. And so it was really well done by the entire cast. Sketch is, like I said, it's not one of these summer blockbusters. It's not something that I think a lot of people know about, which is another reason why I thought I would get on here and do podcast about it and maybe bring awareness to it. And again, a lot of Nashville natives involved in this movie. It did premiere in Toronto International Film Festival late last year and got really good reviews. And you kind of never know. I mean, here you are almost, a year later, but it is. I mean, Sketch is a delightful surprise that offers up everything I think you would want in a family film, with plenty of wonder and weirdness. It's something that kids and grown-ups alike can hopefully relate to and learn from in some way. Again, Sketch is out now, so go see it. It's one of the, if not the biggest surprise of the summer. It's worth checking out. Fun for the whole family. And I hope you enjoy it, because I certainly did. Sketch is getting a VixFlix rating of 3.5 out of 5. And come back on Monday. We'll have a VixFlix podcast on the incomparable Jamie Lee Curtis, as Freakier Friday is coming out this weekend. And again, catch all of our stuff, NashvilleMovieDispatch.substack.com. And hey, until we do this again, you stay classy, moviegoers.